Hey there crew, it's Mark, and today we're going to be checking out the latest subscription box from Archer and Olive. And in today's video, we're going to do things just a little bit differently. We're still going to be talking about what's inside of it, and I'll still be giving you my thoughts on them. But I also want to share maybe a handful of ideas of things that we might be able to do with the items that are inside of this box. So often we get these boxes and they look really nice on our shelves or in our drawers, but we never really think, well, how might we be able to use these things actually? So if you weren't as familiar with this box, this entire box has a dark academia feel to it. So everything inside of here has all of these blues and purples and blacks and all kinds of fun stuff that we saw in the preview video. So let's go ahead and get into everything that we got. All right, so the first thing that we got inside of here are the extra large pocket library books. And the reason that these are extra large, we open them up, is that these are very, very thick notebooks, not just your average everyday normal pocket notebook. We've got these two different designs here. So the first one here is going to be this really nice teal buckram cover. We've got craft dot grid paper on the inside of here. And we've got this really cool chess piece on here as well. Love the way that this one looks. And then we also have this burgundy. This is a vegan leather cover here. This is gonna have some gray dot grid paper inside of it, which is super nice. Really love the way that that looks. So pocket notebooks, what are some things that we can do with these? Now, usually I would say I would use a pocket notebook for swatch notebooks or things like that. But the problem is that with these two, they have colored pages. So it's gonna tint the color of your ink or anything else that you might put on top of it. Now, I personally think that swatches inside of craft paper notebooks actually look really cool. It gives it a very much of a different look. However, the gray paper, while very cool, I don't know if it's gonna quite work out the same way. So some ideas for pocket notebooks are your journal on the go. If you just want to have something inside of your backpack or your purse, or honestly, this could probably fit in your back pocket if you really wanted to. I don't know that I would do that personally. A great way just to keep ongoing notes and tasks and things as you're out and about. Some other ideas for this might be to set these up as small tracker notebooks for yourself, whether you're just keeping daily, weekly, monthly, or even yearly trackers. Having a dedicated space for this could be very cool. Inside of one of my other pocket notebooks I've gotten previously, I actually set it up as a Wordle journal, which when I was playing Wordle all the time, it was a way just for me to track the words of the day and kind of keep an ongoing thing. It was kind of fun, but I haven't played that game in a minute. Because of the really nice paper inside of here, you could also use these as word or thoughts of the day as you're going through. I know some people like to do like one thought per day. I think the craft paper, like I said, looks beautiful with anything written inside of it. And the gray paper would actually look really nice as well, especially with like a nice dark pen. I think it gives like a really cool looking aesthetic and could be a great idea for pocket notebooks. A third idea for you could be a gaming notebook. I actually just set this up for Diablo for myself a few weeks ago, but you could totally do that inside of these notebooks. Again, because of the really cool paper with that dark pen or kind of anything that you want, and especially with like the chess piece on here, like that's an ideal gaming notebook if I've ever seen one before. All right, next, let's go ahead and check out this one. So this has the Collage paper pad on the back of here. So if we go ahead and open this up, ooh, we've got very cool. We've got a moon paper inside of here. We also have that same pattern that we see across a lot of the different materials inside of here, these diamonds. Got our big library book pages, colored pages, forest, music notes, more colored, straight notebooks. Again, that pattern inside of a hallway, some florals, handwriting, a classic vintage chair and kind of a room, and then back into the same things over again. So collage papers are pretty cool actually, but if you're not quite sure exactly what you might do with them inside of your journal or for any craft whatsoever, here's a handful of ideas on things that you could potentially do. Of course, with collage paper, you can do whatever you want with it. You can cut it out, you can use parts of it. Something that I like to do with collage paper, especially something like the handwritten one, or anything with a larger pattern over top of it, is to use it underneath of a piece of a paper that you're going to write onto. And what it does is it kind of creates a little bit more of like a visual drop shadow for what you're trying to do, or even a background. If you have a mini notepad or even sticky notes, can go right over top of here and give yourself a really nice frame for your page. Another cool idea for this would to be create a little bit of a secretive flap inside of your notebook. So what I would do for this is, because you can write on the opposite side of this paper, you could take out a piece of paper and fold it in half. On the inside of that fold, you could write some notes or some details, but then kind of have itself cover itself up so that if anyone is looking through your notebook, sure, they could uncover it, but you're not seeing that information right away. It's kind of snuck away a little bit and just creates a little bit of privacy inside of an analog place. All right, so the next thing we're taking a look at are going to be the washi tapes or decorative tapes that were inside of this box. Washi tapes have kind of become a staple now with Archer and Olive. Any type of kit that they have, there's always matching washi to go along with it. We've got the books, we've got that diamond pattern, the chess pieces, and also like this very floral looking one too. Washi has a ton of different uses, whether it's decorative, but I actually have a bunch of ideas, and I'll pop this in the card and down in the descriptions for you, that give you a bunch of functional ways for you to use washi inside of your journals. Some quick ways that you can do that is you can take off a piece and cut it into a flag, and that way flag a piece of paper or flag a note that's on your page. You can also cut off a piece and put it on the edge of your notebook. That way it can help stand out amongst everything else going on. And one of my favorite and most used parts about washi is honestly covering up mistakes that you have on your page. Whether you misspell something or smear something, put a piece of washi over top of it, and then you can just write right next to it, and it almost makes it look intentional. The next thing we'll take a look at is going to be a letter opener. I didn't see this in any of the promotional materials, so I'm curious to see what it looks like. Most of the time your letter openers, oh my goodness, it's just, a dagger really, but this is very cool. It's a key. Oh, and the letter opener is on the inside. I've never really used letter openers before because I just kind of rip them open, but this is super cool. It's not super sharp. It actually has more of a blunt edge on here, but that way I could fit it right underneath an envelope and kind of tear it open. But I also absolutely love the fact that it looks like a key on the page instead. And when it's not in use, it will proudly sit on my shelf out for display because honestly, this key is super awesome. All right, we got a new envelope, and on the back of here, it says metal tab. So I'm gonna assume bookmarks like we've seen in the past. Archer and Olive has done a handful of metal tabs throughout the years in different styles. So let's see what we got. Alrighty, we've got these guys here. So really cool dark look, and they each have icons on them. So this is very reminiscent. I think the first time they did this might have been in one of the Valentine's Day boxes. So we have a key, a candle flame, we've got that diamond pattern we've seen in other places. We have our chess piece, and then also that flower. Now, there really are only so many uses for book tabs, which really the biggest use for these are to mark a page inside of your journal, inside of a book, kind of however you want to do that. All right, the next thing that we have here are going to be sticker sets. This is 2 sheets with a matte finish. So this is going along with the style that Archer and Olive has been doing a lot of recently. We have some of our gold foil over top of here, and we have little timekeepers and books and kind of vintage telephones and statues, a big like hearth with a bunch of different stuff on there, and the same thing on both. I know a lot of people are kind of hit or miss on stickers and using them inside of your bullet journal and your planners, but there are a handful of cool ways that you can use them that are more than just decorative. One of my favorite ways to use stickers is actually to use them for like headers for the days of the week, or a big header for the month, or for a big title on a page. It doesn't have to necessarily always fit the theme of what you're doing, but it can look pretty cool. A big sticker like this might actually look really nice for like an entry page into the month. So if you're like, oh, November or October is a great one for this, you can put this kind of in the top center of your page and do some cool lettering below it to be that monthly title page inside of your journal. As I mentioned, using these for headers across your pages for a big title for it, there are only 7 of these on a page, so you are kind of limited in trying to use these for every single day of the week, especially since you've got like a giant one here on the page. Even using something like the little terrarium that they have down here could be used for a watering log or something along that line. So again, creative ways that you can use them individually without having to necessarily use them all in one spot. All right, the next thing we're gonna check out are going to be the gel pens. Honestly, I'm hit or miss on gel pens. I bought a bunch of them a while back because I felt like everyone had gel pens, but I don't always use them for everything. So finding ways for me to use them is actually kind of important. So I'm glad that I'm making this video for you. Since I usually write in my bullet journal with fountain pens and keeping those colors, for the most part, kind of in that dark black, green, teal kind of space, adding a little pop of color can be fun inside of your journal. I like to use these for a lot of titles, for dates, things like that that I'm not going to be writing with my pen inside of my bullet journal with. It just helps it stick out as a separate feature on the page, and that way I'm just writing my notes and my task and putting things in like that, and I don't have to continually try to grab for a color if I want to write with it. You could also take these and write with it inside of one of your smaller pocket notebooks if you wanted to. If you're doing the word or the thoughts of the day, for instance, attach these to the little pen holder on the side, and you've got a really cool looking notebook with a special color paper and a pen color that complements the paper type that you have. And of course, you could just always write with them instead of writing with a different type of ink. It's gel pen, it shouldn't skip that much, and like I said before, it looks really cool on paper. All right, and the last thing we're taking a look at is a larger size notebook. This has 192 pages. We've got doc grid inside of here, and they're calling this one the Decadent Notebook. It sounds very good. Let's see what it actually looks like. The box design is very nice, has a very cool vintage look to it. Oh my goodness. It looks like a painting on this notebook. That's actually kind of cool. Now, while I'm not usually the biggest fan of florals, and I don't know that I would necessarily use this notebook in my day-to-day, I do have to say that I can appreciate the design. I always appreciate the design of the notebooks that they do. This is very cool. I will take a notebook just like this. But on the front here, we have some really cool gilding, very intricate designs, and then a style that I don't know that we've seen before, but this almost looks like it's been painted on here. It's not, it's printed on there, but the style of this looks like an oil painting. We also have some coloring on the side here that's on the notebook itself, on that spine, and then just a replication of the front here on the back without the middle part. But that is very cool looking. And look at this, golded edges, very cool. And you've got your inside design, your nameplate, and then going right into your journal pages. White dot grid, thank goodness. So ideas for this notebook, I mean, it's kind of theming itself if you're the type of person that likes to track things inside of a garden, for instance, or when you plant certain seeds, or overall what your design might look like for your upcoming garden or space. That's very on the nose, obviously. With a very vintage look, this could just very much be your style. You could use this for your bullet journal if you wanted to, just for your daily diary or journal writing. It's absolutely stunning. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And again, even though that I'm personally not a very floral person, and I've talked about that a lot in the past, it's kind of hard not to appreciate the design on this, though. This is almost like having a piece of like oil painting artwork on the front of your journal versus just an overly floral looking icon type of design like we've seen in the past. Again, it's hard for him to come up with like other ideas because there's so many things that you can use a journal for, especially in A5, which is a typical size. So really it's up to you on what you would want to do with this journal, because it really could be anything that you wanted to. With the white dot grid pages, it opens up a lot more. I'm glad they didn't do like a color or anything like that on the inside. You can use any type of pen. You can use the stickers and the washi and the gel pens from this. Like you could use almost everything you have inside of this kit inside of this notebook. Everything inside of this kit is very cool, and I really do appreciate this, the level of intricacy and design and detail that Archer and Olive is putting into their subscription boxes. And what's very exciting about this is that it always opens things up for new things in the future. And you might be thinking to yourself, Mark, how? Like, what in here is actually new other than a handful of colors? Personally, I think one thing is going to be the style in which they printed kind of this artwork on this notebook. We haven't seen this design or technique before in Archer and Olive notebooks. So this could potentially open it up to a lot of different things that they could put on top of notebooks if they continue to do it in the same type of style. So I've given you a handful of ideas on ways you can use the items from this subscription box in your day-to-day. But of course, I always love to hear from you and get some different ideas from you as well. How might you use some of the different items inside of this subscription box for yourself? Love to hear your ideas. As always, drop them down in the comment section below, because sharing ideas is one of the best things that we can do in this community. As always, thanks so much for hanging out, friends, and I'll talk to you next time. See ya.